Best tips for young people to get a mining job. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters. And recently I was asked if 19 was too young to get a job in the mining industry. No, it's not, but you do have to meet some basic standards for mining. And one of those standards, or you can check out what the standards are by having a look at the sponsor's New Starters page or their column, and they've got a mining career checklist that you can go through. And one of the big things for young people is to get a manual driver's license. Doesn't have to be a HR for underground. You need a HR for the surface, but not for underground. And it doesn't matter if you're on your piece. They just want a manual driver's license. So that's one of the big things that you need to be able to do. The other thing is to be able to pass a police clearance and a medical. And for most young people, that's not a problem. The advice that I like to give to people is twofold. One is to know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and the second one is that you have to go where the new starter jobs are, the area of the industry that's having to hire new starters at the moment. At the moment, it's gold that's making the play for new employees and is having to hire new starters, especially in the hard rock underground area. Now, there is some scope for surface work, and there are a few traineeships going in WA, but as the coal mines and the iron ore mines automate and some of the coal mines shut down because of what China's up to, the people that can drive the big trucks in coal are the same people that are going to be able to drive the big trucks in gold and copper and all the other base metals. That's the good thing about being able to use equipment, is that it doesn't really matter sometimes what you put in the back of it. Now, what does that mean for new starters? It means that there's going to be a flood of experienced surface coal miners and iron ore workers into the gold industry. And that's why I tell people that really you need to focus on hard rock underground, or you need to focus on exploration. Exploration as a fieldy or an offsider, and hard rock underground as a nipper, a truck driver, or offsider on a diamond drill rig. Now, to do that, the best thing you can do is get your mining knowledge up to speed. So when I talk about your mining knowledge, what I'm talking about is the sponsors training. And if you have a look at the Intro to Underground Mining, you'll see that there's 4 online courses that you can do. And we'll just have a look at the basic one. So if we go into basic and we have a look at the second module in basic, which is hard rock underground, how the mine works. So it goes through step by step exactly how the mine works, so you can learn it all before you go. One of the problems that they have with all the on-site training that they do in exploration and hard rock underground is that it's all conducted on site, or the majority of it's conducted on site. They do get you to do inductions online before you go and all that sort of stuff, but it's very general and it's not often very detailed. What a good analogy I like to give is that it's like teaching somebody to swim by giving them a 15-minute rundown before they throw them in the deep end, and then keeping on explaining to people as they're trying to swim in the water. And that's what they basically do on mine sites. And it's why if you go in green, then you've got a 3 in 5 chance of not making it, of having to be fished out of the water and sent home. They keep doing it because there's no better system, and it's one of the reasons that the group of shift bosses wrote this training back in the day, was to give people an opportunity to be able to sit down and study the information, because it's a whole different kettle of fish if you know how it all works before you go. So when they throw you in the water, you already know what's going on. That means that all you have to do is swim and concentrate on swimming. You don't have to learn how to swim at the same time, and that makes a big difference. And that's why people that have done the training make it in the industry and commit to learning the information. That's the other big important point, is that a lot of this information, when they go through it for the first time round, it seems very easy and it seems something that you would just remember. The problem is that you're being hit with a wall of information over 3 or 4 days, and people retain very little of it. Most people need to go through this information in the course. Well, I tell everybody to go through the information in the course 4 or 5 times before they actually start sending their resume out. And one of the big things that we do as part of the work ready package that Underground Training get their shift bosses to do is just to make sure people have completely understood the mining training, because when you apply for these jobs, if you can talk to the foreman about how the hard rock underground mine works, then you've got something to offer them. But if they ask you, what are you going to do if your truck starts sliding down the decline, and you just go, and you can't say, well, I'm going to hit the retarder and not the brakes, then you've got nothing to offer them. But if you can answer all those questions, even though you've got no practical experience, then you've got something to offer them. That's what's really important with knowing what you're getting yourself into. And that's why I always say, if you have a look at our Facebook page, you'll see with all the job ads that I put out, I always write that you need your mining knowledge up to speed. And that is so you're not going to get thrown into the deep end. That's why I put that there, because if you do apply, and chances are that you can apply and get these jobs, because they are still pouring people through these areas of the industry, that you'll get there and you'll be given a quick rundown, and then you'll be thrown in the deep end. And then, you're into that 2 in 5 succeeding and the other 3 being fished out and sent home. They call it getting a window seat, and there's a whole heap of different reasons that people get window seats, and there's other reasons why you should have a look at doing the training before you go. And one of them is, out of 100 people that complete the training, only about 60 people take it forward. A good 40% just look at it and go, no, if that's what mining really is, that's not for me. Because hard rock underground, it pays really well. Like, you start on 100,000 a year and you can make well over 300,000 a year in the top jobs. But they want their pound of flesh on the way through. 12 hours, well, it's 13 hours a day by the time you get from camp to camp, at the start of the day to the end of the day, and they want you going pretty much the whole time. And I tell people not to run, but always to move with a sense of urgency. If you can't keep up, they will turn you out, and they turn lots of people out. If you have a look at some of the Facebook pages that are associated with mining, you'll see a lot of people that have got an opportunity and got there and unfortunately weren't able to convert it. And that's nothing to do with them. That's more about just the way the training system is in hard rock underground mining and exploration. When you have to train on site, they just pour people through, and they've been doing it for the last 25 years. It was exactly the same when I first started as a nipper in 94. And every time that we hit a boom, then they have to hire a lot of people. The same thing happens. They turn over a lot of HR people because of it. Because people find it very stressful having high turnovers. But unfortunately, all the people that you're dealing with that are making the decisions on the mining ends of things are used to going through a lot of people. It's nothing unusual for them. So again, it's all about knowing what you're getting yourself into and going where the work is. So that's what my recommendations are for a new starter, is to educate yourself, to make sure that you want to go, and then target a specific area. If you're in WA, then the obvious way to go is to head to Kalgoorlie. But if you're in the eastern states, don't despair because of the hard border here. There's lots of work going in the central New South Wales. There's a number of gold and copper mines that are expanding and reopening, and there's some zinc mines and copper mines and tin mines and gold mines in the north of Queensland that are all having to hire new starters. One of the guys a couple of weeks ago got a job in Mount Isa. And that's the other thing, guys, too, is that with Facebook, don't stalk people on Facebook. I'm quite easy to stalk, and lots of people do, hence why I've got hundreds of friends requests. I'm just not going to answer them at all. And the same thing happened to the guy that got a job the other week. He put a nice post up on Facebook just telling people what was going on, and he had to take it down because, people have got it in their heads that they think that if they hound somebody long enough that's in the industry, then that's the way to get into a job, when really you can do it yourself by increasing your mining knowledge, by doing some training and learning actually what's going on. Nothing blows the wind up the skirt of the foreman or the project manager more than somebody fronting up that knows what scaling is, that what watering down is, can talk to them about ground support, all that sort of stuff. If you want a job, that's the way in, and that's the secret to getting into the industry, is being able to talk to the mine owner or the person that's doing the hiring about how their mine works. And that goes the same for exploration. If you want to get a job on the surface, learn as much about what's going to go on the surface. And it goes for the pits as well. There's some information that you can get around the place about what goes on in pits. I would try and learn as much about that as you can before you take a run at them. Unfortunately, you're only going to have a short amount of time if you want a job in the pits before the hard border in WA comes down and all the people start flooding across from the coal mines. I hope that information's helpful. And if you're a young person looking to get into the industry, there's lots of opportunity, and the place to start is a manual driver's license. And then educate yourself and head off to where the jobs are. go to where the jobs are, get yourself in, and then worry about setting yourself up in a nice, cushy fly-in, fly-out job. So I hope that information helps, and if you could like and subscribe to the channel and share the information around. Thank you.